Alright, never thought I would ever find an excuse to wear my Luigi costume ever again, but then the Super Mario Brothers movie happened and I thought, I can't not. So let's go. The Super Mario Brothers movie is an animated adaptation to the video game franchise Super Mario that many of us know and love. This movie follows a very similar plot line to what we're used to seeing in the Mario games. You know, Bowser has captured the superstar. He's also captured, in this case, Mario's brother Luigi. So now Mario has to team up with Princess Peach and Toad to go on this adventure to free Luigi, recover the superstar, and take down Bowser and save the Mushroom Kingdom. I do not talk about video games a whole lot on my channel. I mentioned before that I'm not the biggest gamer, but I am a big time fan of Super Mario. I absolutely love this character. I love those video games. As soon as I get one of those games, I basically sell my soul away to it. Super Mario 64, I stand by to this day, is the greatest video game I've ever played and probably ever will play. I absolutely love that game. My family was in an apartment for a long time when our house was getting built. It was a really tiny apartment. Didn't have a whole lot going on, but funny enough, that game became like family time for us. We would all get together, we'd all play the game, take turns at certain levels, and whenever we acquired a star, we beat Bowser. It was, it was like a celebration. It was awesome. And since then, I've been a fan of the franchise. I have collected every game, I've played every game, and I absolutely love it. So naturally, you could assume that I was highly looking forward to this movie. I was very excited to see what an animated version of Super Mario was going to be like. And I think I was more excited for it than maybe some other people were, given the fact that some of those people probably experienced the live action adaptation of Super Mario that came out in the 90s, I believe it was. And I never experienced that movie, and hearing how those people have described it, it's probably a very good thing that I didn't. However, I am of the very realistic mindset, and I have understood for a very long time that video game adaptations almost never work out. So naturally, there was a lot riding on the Super Mario Brothers movie to be successful, not just for its own sake, but I'm sure for the sake of other potential video game movie projects that could be on the way. I'll tell you guys right now, as a Super Mario fan, as a movie fan, I think this movie gave me exactly what I was looking for. Let's get right into the voice casting in this movie, because this is something that a lot of people, even myself included, were a little skeptical on, namely Chris Pratt as the voice of Mario. You heard it in the trailer, you heard it in pretty much all the trailers anyway. Chris Pratt was basically going to sound like Chris Pratt, but with kind of a Brooklyn accent, and we were all like, well, this doesn't sound anything like Mario. I almost had people reach a point like, why have him be the voice of Mario? Why not have the guy who actually voices Mario to be the voice of Mario? Thankfully, I'll tell you guys right now, I ended up really liking Chris Pratt as the voice of Mario. He doesn't have the stereotypical Italian accent that Mario has, but thankfully the movie explains why he doesn't. They actually poke fun at it, and they really roll with it. And I thought Chris Pratt did a really good job of his portrayal as Mario, because Mario in this movie is a plumber working in Brooklyn, kind of down on his luck. He's a little bit of an underdog, no one believes in him, and now he has to go on this adventure to become more than what he is now. And I really like seeing that side of him, because that's something I've always appreciated with Mario. I mean, Mario doesn't look like this superhero or this great fighter or anything like that. He looks like a plumber, and then he gets these power-ups and he goes on these adventures and he does a bunch of crazy, wild shit. So I like seeing in this movie that Mario really feels that way. He feels like an ordinary guy that has to go on this unbelievable, ridiculous quest. I really feel like Chris Pratt really brought that out of him, so I really ended up digging his voice casting. But really, the voice casting across the board I thought was fantastic. Charlie Day's voice of Luigi, that was really good. I thought he really encompassed what Luigi's always been to Mario. Thought Keegan-Michael Key as the voice of Toad, I thought he was great. Anya Taylor-Joy as the voice of Peach was really good. Peach also, they take a different route in this movie. She's not the damsel in distress. She's not the one that Bowser's taken away. She's actually along this journey with Mario. And normally, I feel like I would have a problem with that. Her, basically flipping roles with Luigi. But it ended up working here. I actually ended up liking her character. I liked her chemistry with Mario. And it does harken back to in some games where Peach is a playable character and she goes on these adventures and she ends up fighting with the others. For me, the movie actually handled it pretty well. Really loved the voice casting of Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. I absolutely loved his banter with Mario because they play on that he and Mario have this rivalry with each other. You know, constantly trying to outdo each other, constantly saying like, I'm better than you, no, you know, I'm better than you, never giving each other credit for when one might save the other in a really bad situation, or when they're both really on the same team. It's constantly like, it reminded me a little bit of Legolas and Gimli and Lord of the Rings. It's like, they're on the same team, they're fighting for the same cause, but they're constantly competing with each other. They never really give the other, you know, credit. It's constantly like, you know, we're working together, but fuck you. It's kind of like that dynamic, and it really worked in this movie. It brought a lot of laughs. But yeah, let's get into what was definitely the best voice casting choice in this movie. Jack Black as voice of Bowser ended up being fucking awesome. I was skeptical at first. I think before I saw the trailer, I was like, Jack Black as voice of Bowser, is that gonna work? And then you hear the first trailer and, you know, what he did with his voice. I was like, oh, that actually sounds really good. And yeah, you see it in this movie, him as the voice of Bowser, it was perfect. I mean, Bowser, he's this big, brooding force, but he's got a voice and a storyline to himself that makes him a really funny character. Like, every line he dishes out, everything he says, everything he does, yeah, he's menacing, but he's also hilarious. And Jack Black was just able to find that happy medium that made Bowser not only a really good villain for the story, but such a funny, memorable character. Hell, Bowser sings a song in this movie, and people are already talking about if the song's going to be up for an Oscar nomination for Best Original Song. You know what? I will tell you right now, since I saw this movie, downloaded it onto my iTunes, and I listened to it, and I don't care. Getting to everything else beyond that, though, I really loved the animation in this movie. It looked awesome. I mean, Illumination has quickly established themselves as one of the top dogs when it comes to animated movies. Maybe not in terms of big-time quality for movies. I mean, I don't think any of their best movies are still on, like, classic Disney or Pixar level or anything like that. But animation-wise, it always looks spectacular. The worlds really stand out, the color really pops, the characters look great. I think we had the right studio to really make this Mario movie because, as a Mario fan, seeing everything on the big screen, it all looked incredibly accurate. It did the representation very well, and I was just enthralled by it. And yeah, I'll say right now, there's a lot of Easter eggs in this movie. There's a lot of like, oh, look at that, you remember that? You know, it could be, you know, characters racing on a rainbow road. It could be Mario going through this test run that feels like something from a Super Mario Brothers game. It could be, you know, the quest for the star, whatever it is, or the certain power-ups. You know, a lot of it feels, you know, like nostalgia, and it is nostalgia, but it's nostalgia for the purpose of telling a story. It's not like they're just throwing something in there for the sake of fan service. Everything that was in here felt like it mattered towards the story. And also, I really enjoyed the power-ups in this movie. When they go down, when they happen, when certain characters get certain abilities because of certain items, it really works, it really makes sense, it's great for the story. And it makes for some really fun action scenes, especially towards the very end when you have the big throwdown. That moment was awesome. It didn't get as big of a crowd reaction as I thought it would, but either way, I thought it was great for the movie. And as I mentioned earlier, the comedy in this movie I thought really worked. It's very well timed, very well executed. It is really silly, but again, if you're a fan of Illumination, I think, and if you're a fan of this franchise, or at least the Super Mario games, it's gonna work for you. I think depending on how much of a fan you are of Super Mario is ultimately how much you're going to really enjoy this movie, because this is not a perfect movie. I'm gonna say that right now, and I'll get into why it's not. First of all, the story in this movie is incredibly simple. You know, it's an adventure going from point A to point B. And I will say, as far as the storytelling of this movie goes, there are certain moments where I was really hoping they would stand back and observe more of these worlds, more of these courses, more characters even. It's possible they're saving this for a sequel, which I think now this movie's definitely going to get because it's absolutely fucking killing it at the box office right now. But I was hoping I could see more of the world, more of the exploration. You know, there's just a lot I want to see in this movie, and I do think, you know, if they explore on maybe a couple more of them, it could have built on some more character development or some more, really just areas that could have benefited the story, seeing more of Mario growing into what he's supposed to be. They don't really do that, and that right there is a little bit of a bummer. This movie's probably not going to be the next all-time great animated movie, but if you're hoping for a movie that's just going to hit you with some good Easter eggs and have moments that are really going to bring out the nostalgia you had from childhood, again, namely if you were a fan of this video game franchise, that's all you're looking for. I will say for me, though, if there's one other area that I think really would have put this movie over the top for me personally as a Mario fan, I wish we delved a little bit more into the dynamic between Mario and Luigi, because other reviewers have said this, when the two of them are on screen together, whether it's the chemistry and the voice acting between Chris Pratt and Charlie Day or whatever it is, the chemistry between these characters is phenomenal. You really feel a brotherly love there. You feel a team between the two of them. You feel like a friendship between the two of them. They really felt like brothers. They felt like family. It was really heartwarming when the two of them were together. It felt so much like a dynamic duo that they're supposed to be. We get a little bit of that at the beginning. Then, Luigi's captured by Bowser, and we don't really see their dynamic for most of it. It all comes together in the final act, and I think that's great. But again, I think that's the area where I feel, maybe if the two of them were on this quest the whole time and they just, stuck to it normally with, Peaches being the damsel in distress, you'd have, I think, a pretty damn great Mario movie. Not even just Mario movie, but animated movie, period. But, someone had to get abducted, they decided on Luigi, and again, I don't hate that they did that, but knowing that we could have seen maybe a little bit more of their dynamic, I think it could have made the movie a lot better. But all in all, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I had a blast with it. The voice casting across the board is absolutely fantastic. I thought Chris Pratt's voice of Mario ended up working very well for the movie. The animation is awesome, the Easter eggs are great, the nostalgia, it definitely hits you, but it's good nostalgia. It's nostalgia as movies should use it. The video game action when it goes down, it's a lot of fun. The musical score in this movie also was very, very well done. It felt like the Super Mario music, but tweaked in a certain way for the movie, and it was great. Had a lot of really funny moments. I thought the comedic timing in this movie was excellent. They could have made some tweaks here and there with the storytelling or with the world exploration, or namely with the dynamic between Mario and Luigi. I really feel like the movie should have really explored more on that, or at least given us more of that. But in the end, if you're a Super Mario fan, I think you'll definitely walk out of this movie satisfied, and I really hope we get a sequel. Hell, I would love to see a Mario Cinematic Universe happen from this. Like, I want to see more characters. I want to see more world. I want to see more power-ups. I want to see more of everything. And with that being said, sounds like this movie could very well be the step in the right direction that video game movies really needed. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. And as always, don't forget to leave a comment, a like, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.